Well, David, you visited these productions with your teenage daughter. This was a father-daughter experience.
Yeah, it's a miracle I'm still here, basically.
Well, which was the toughest for you to sit through?
Well, the one that was most emotionally involving for me was Teenage Riot, because in a way it was cheating because it had actual teenagers in it, teenagers the same age as my teenagers. The actors were slightly older, playing teenagers, and it was artistically and theatrically a very exciting production. And also you were challenged instantly because it was from the teenagers. It was devised. There was, within the first 10 minutes, there was paedophile jokes. There was them pretending to be handicapped people. It was there was the teenagers in underwear. It was like you were aware of voyeurism. And for me...
And what about your daughter, though?
Well, oh, yeah, she came as well. No, what was interesting with my daughter was, was the show was very good at expressing what teenagers want to say to parents,
which is,
but
you're
can't,
all awful.
And what parents can't really say to teenagers. So I just wanted to hug her the whole time.
Simon, for you, I mean, this idea that there is a complete disconnect between teenagers and adults, where at the time we're meant to be told, you know, we have a better relationship with our children, and this would just completely gave a lie to that.
It did, and I mean, all those shows that you showed were incredibly powerful. And one thing that was consistent between them all was that the absence of parental figures in any of them. And Teenage Riot, for me, was the strongest. Just that absolutely... I mean, it was carnage going on. These are kids
inside this box.
They lock themselves in a box, effectively in a shed, and they run riot. But every time when you think it's going to go too far,
you can see
they become vulnerable. Their innocence radiates through, and I was torn to shreds at the end.
And in this scene we can see now, what they're doing is they're actually burning images of their families.
But then what happens is that there's this most amazing moment. One of the guys gets up on the roof with a camera, he points it into the audience, and suddenly we are on the shed, we are being projected onto our faces. Your face, David, was on there.
I was the enemy.
You were the enemy,
yes.
and then the kids start throwing sort of vegetables down. But suddenly you kind of see what they're saying. We're the problem here. We've created this world. This is the world that we've handed down.
Except, I mean, you're, in a sense, what you're doing is, because you have this young daughter, you're living it very, you know, viscerally. But it's heightened, though, isn't it? I mean, that's the whole point about drama. It's not really as bad as that, is it?
Well, if we talk, I don't know, I found that show a fairly accurate, artistic representation of the experience of being a teenager. I was kind of sitting through that saying, yep, that was, I felt that confused, I felt that angry, I felt that... I mean, it's all these emotions are firing off in different directions, and the form they found for it, which is this wonderful form of having this box on stage. The kids are in the box with a camera. The front of the box is a screen for a projection, so your distance is the adult, or presumably adult audience. You can't get direct access to them, and they're presenting all sorts of different things to you.
But these are Flemish kids who seem to be saying, when we talk to them, that actually they think we don't have a good relationship with our families here, and they've got a better one.
They're saying something to us specifically as British people. You see, I think I took it slightly less seriously, perhaps, than the parents on the panel, but because like Harry, I saw it as something that was quite familiar, and I saw all this sort of pseudo-profundity and self-importance of an adolescent, that focusless rage, and that completely self-contradictory set of demands. Love me, don't pay attention to me, look at me, don't ever look at me, love me, but don't judge me by your redundant, horrible adult standards. I just thought it was kind of sweet. The shouty madness of it was very accurate to me, but I just thought it was quite sweet.
And then we had Blackout about the boy in terrible trouble, Bunny, the one girl show, and Apples about the whole idea of these kids who just are living in Middlesbrough. And each of these, in its own way, made me horrified for the state of girls particularly.
I didn't feel horrified. I mean, especially with Apples, because I think although horrible things happened to these kids, the thing that Apples did that I loved was that it engaged really deeply with the joy, with the enjoyment. It's like they don't take drugs because they're craved and miserable. They take drugs because it's brilliant. You know.
Were we in the same show, Apples? I don't know. I felt that Teenage Riot was better at coming away from the Jeremy Kyleism of teenagerdom.
Issue-based drama.
Yeah, and just showing that there's hope in being a teenager. Yes, they reject us, and sometimes we think that is terrible, but actually some of them may go on to be better than us.